Welcome to OCR News Weekly. I'm your host, Margaret Schlachter. This is your podcast for all the latest obstacle racing news from around the world, produced by Mud Run Guide. Good morning, this is Margaret Schlachter. Today is February 2nd, 2017. We're recapping the top news from around the obstacle racing industry this week. Our top story this week comes from Spartan Race. Prior to the first Spartan Race of the season over the weekend, new rules were released stating participants must wear headbands the entire event or risk disqualification. Additionally, the new rules stated that athletes must wear Spartan-approved apparel on the podium. This news set off a storm within the obstacle racing community. Top athletes from around the sport commented on the new rule, including arguably one of the sport's most important figures, Amelia Boone. She and others who earn incomes from sponsors voiced concerns about obstacle racing becoming like the highly regulated sport of track and field. As more and more athletes within obstacle racing gain sponsorships and start to build their living as professional athletes in this sport, this worried many of those athletes. Further conversations were spurred with the idea of the brand of Spartan Race versus the sport of obstacle course racing. Opinions on both sides were strong throughout the internet. Yancey Culp, well-known obstacle racing coach, penned an op-ed for Obstacle Racing Media voicing his concerns and thoughts. Additionally, Solo of her blog Solo.com, an OCR opinion writer, penned her own op-ed comparing President Donald Trump to the latest actions of Spartan Race in a rather thought-provoking article. On the other side of the coin, you had Kevin Donahoe, one of the members of the Spartan Pro team, went live on Facebook to say why he supported the new rule. And Friday afternoon, before the first Southern California race, Joe DiStefano, director of sport for Spartan Race, released a video clarifying the rule was only for the initial podium photos, and after initial photos were taken, additional unofficial photos could be taken with athletes wearing their personal sponsors. As Spartan Race kicked off their first race of the season, the final rules had been altered by race day to say that racers must start with their headbands, and as reported above, only the initial podium photo had to be in their Spartan finisher shirts. There were no reports of any issues that came from the first race over the weekend, which boasted by some estimates as many as 17,000 participants over the 2 days of racing in Southern California. A great start of the season for Spartan Race. Our next story comes from across the pond in the United Kingdom. Sunday saw the end of an era for obstacle course racing. On the 30th anniversary of the original Tough Guy Challenge, the event had its last racers queue up at the start line. The original Tough Guy Challenge, created by the infamous Mr. Mouse, ended with athletes from around the world making the pilgrimage to take on this iconic extreme challenge. Tough Guy has been the godfather of obstacle racing. The race has been chronicled on many international documentaries and specials, including the documentary Rise of the Sufferfest. Many consider Tough Guy the precursor for what the modern-day obstacle racing industry is today. It was a mix of emotions for many athletes seeing this iconic race come to an end. After the race, Mr. Mouse sent out a unique email to participants, which left many wondering if this was truly the last event. Time will tell if Tough Guy will reemerge or if this was truly the end of an era over the last weekend. Our next story might have obstacle racing one step closer to the Olympics. As reported in Mud Run Guide, pentathlon is looking at obstacle racing. Recently, at the UIPM, which is the International Federation for the Sport of Pentathlon annual meeting, it was discussed and approved adding OCR to the current Laser Run event. Laser Run is a combination of running and shooting a laser pistol, similar in many ways to the sport of biathlon, combining the two disciplines. OCR Laser Run is set to make its debut at the end of the month during the first UIPM World Cups in Southern California. With pentathlon already an Olympic event, this might take obstacle racing one step closer to becoming an Olympic sport in the future. After the first event in Southern California, we'll have a better idea as an industry what this OCR Laser Run will truly look like and how it might fit into the existing options within the obstacle racing community. Our next story comes from Canada. Announced this week, the Canadian obstacle race series Mud Hero has teamed up with charity partner Special Olympics Canada. Adam Ruppel, the co-founder of Mud Hero, said of this new partnership with Special Olympics Canada, "Partnering with Special Olympics Canada was a natural fit for us. We are all about active, inclusive fun for absolutely everyone and celebrating the emotional accomplishment of overcoming a physical challenge. The core values of Special Olympics Canada and global milestones of raising the bar for humanity everywhere were truly what drew us to this cause. We're so excited to have Special Olympic athletes, their families, and supporters as part of the Mud Hero family." Mud Hero is set to host 12 events throughout Canada in 2017. At many of these events, there will also be special heats that are more inclusive for the Special Olympic athletes. So for those that are involved in Special Olympics Canada, it's another option to get involved in obstacle course racing and combine the two groups together. Our final story this week comes from US OCR Championships. The US OCR Championships were recently announced as the first independent US-based OCR Championships slated for Labor Day weekend later in 2017. The event is set to take place in Hill Country area of Texas. The US OCR Championships is being produced by the same group which produces the OCR World Championships annually. The group is also collaborating with many of the top American obstacle race brands to create a uniquely American championship event. Announced this week, registration is now open for the US OCR Championships for both the elite and age group divisions. More information on registration can be found on the US OCR Championships website. Those are your headlines this week from around the obstacle racing world. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe to our show today on your favorite player, whether it be iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you consume your podcasts. If you like the show, also consider leaving us a review. Reviews are a great way to let the community know what this show is about. This is Margaret Schlachter signing off for this week's episode of OCR News Weekly. OCR News Weekly is a production of Mud Run Guide, your online resource for all obstacle racing, mud run, ninja, and extreme events. For more information, check out our website, mudrunguide.com.